Lord, welcome to some foolishness that I just made up in my mind. Mm-mm-mm. Everything that you go through in life, it has a purpose and a reason. And you may not understand it in that moment, and you may not understand why it's happening or what's going on, but it could be something that is meant for you to go through because you're going to need that experience 3 or 4 years from now or 5 years from now, and everything just everything just happens for a reason. Everything works out the way that it's meant to work out, and you may not understand it or may not know why, but it's a reason behind everything. And I say that to mean I'm gonna share this story. So I had a job that I really put a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of my life and really all of myself into, and I excelled, as Virgos do. I excelled. I was great at it. I wanted to move into management roles and do other things with the company. I saw myself retiring from that company, and it was a great place to work. And this particular company, they hired me. They hired a lot of people during that time period, and I was one of the ones that excelled, and I had a great manager. I had great support. I always, did my best and tried to make the numbers, the metrics, everything, or whatever in the technical industry. And COVID ended up happening, and a lot of changes started happening within the company. And my particular manager, which a lot of the times the manager will make or break your experience, my particular manager ended up retiring. And so after he retired, I went to a not so great manager that I ended up with a FMLA case and some other psychological foolishness. So, all that being said, I took some time off, constantly applying for other positions, trying to find other things to do in the company, make myself more viable, and I was doing everything in my power to make this situation work. And nothing, absolutely nothing would work out. Nothing. And I was just stuck in the same situation with this, person that I really didn't get along with, and it was just a awful feeling. So I ended up with my last resort of, I was just like, I'm just gonna give it up. And this is a big big thing for me now too is don't be afraid to give up. Giving up is one of the best things you can do because when you give up, it gives you the opportunity to start anew. And so I just gave up, and I ended up going to another not so great experience with another company that it was an excellent company to work for, but I just hated the job. It was call center. It was just not for me. So that's that on that. But then I ended up being unemployed for a while, and with being unemployed for a while, it was a very depressing, very hard, very disheartening time in my life. But I ended up just taking what I could get, which was a little seasonal Christmas job, and it actually ended up being the best thing that could happen for my life, because that little seasonal Christmas job turned into where I am today, and I make more than I ever would have imagined or ever would have been able to achieve with the original company that I was with, because it would have taken me years, or rather been impossible, to make even what I'm making now with that company, because it had just become impossible to make the metrics and the promotions and everything with my previous employer. So, all that being said, I think that I went through all of those experiences and that hard time in my life to prepare me and to mentally put me in the space that I am in today, to be calm, collected, calm, and just more appreciative and more open to criticism. Not really criticism, but more open to, I don't know what I want to say. Anyway, just more open and more well-rounded as an individual. And so after going through those experiences, it's made this particular experience so much better, because I've had the lessons learned from the previous experiences. I hope that makes sense. It probably don't. I want a ginger ale. Yep, I'm gonna go get me a ginger ale. But I hope everybody has a lovely day, and just remember that everything you go through is for a reason. You may not understand why, and you may not know when things will get better, but they'll get better. So keep going, and just keep going. That's all I got to say. Anyway, I'm gonna go get me a ginger ale and go back to sleep. Sure enough is good night.